remember, Rook, when I mentioned another ceremony I must perform at the Memorial Gardens? The time has come. I was hoping you would accompany me again.
Can't be time to relight the graves yet.
Oh, this isn't Watcher business. It's a more personal visit. Whenever you've time. Now, what do you have to say for yourself?
Did I miss something?
Since we're here to gather flowers for the dead, I thought I'd teach Manfred some plant names. But I just caught him attempting to wade into a rose bush.
Emmerich, how could you stay annoyed at that face? Skull.
Oh, Manfred. Whatever will happen to you if I pass on?
If?
There's something I'd like to talk about. Do you know what a lich is, Rook?
An undead mage that's retained their mind. They're theoretical, aren't they?
The idea fascinated me when I was younger. For years, I researched and experimented, spoke with spirits and mages. Then, eventually, I found them.
Who?
The Lich Lords of the Grand Necropolis. Necromancers before me who'd transformed themselves into true living dead.
Incredible. Did the other Watchers know?
Well, the most senior do. You weren't high enough in the Order to be informed. The Liches are the great protectors of the Necropolis, bulwarks against forces that threaten creation. After years of tests and rituals, they granted me my desire, the right to attempt lichdom.
Hold on. If you become a lich, then all this flirting we've been doing...
I should hate to lose your company while I'm still mortal.
What would you being a lich be like?
A vast leap. Flesh cast aside for bone, returned immortal for all time.
The whole necropolis will be jealous.
Oh, I don't want to incite any envy.
Emmerich, you've met our fellow necromancers. Also, I notice you haven't answered what lichdom means for flirting.
Our prohibitions regarding the dead wouldn't apply to a lich, but I'd inform you before making any decision to... Lichdom is an incredible honor. Immortality, prestige, the most hallowed ranks of the Watchers, as well as a chance to be of service past my allotted years. But there are considerations. Come, we have flowers to gather for the dead.
Okay, but I've got questions.
Blue creepvine. This will do nicely.
So, if you were a lich, it wouldn't be a spirit mimicking you. It'd be your actual soul in the corpse.
It would.
I didn't think. Wait, is that what Vorgoth is?
Oh, no one knows what Vorgoth is. Moon blossoms, famed in verse and song.
Smells like perfume. Do liches have a sense of smell?
I've been told that while some of my senses will dull, others will become available. Other than that, I can't say if the flowers would still hold their bloom for me. Lichdom serves a purpose. There are dark things in creation, threats to both our world and the Fade. The Liches of the Necropolis have the insight and the abilities to oppose them.
And you're joining them when?
Certain elements have held me back. There's no ready instructions for lichdom. The steps must be discovered on one's own over years to be fully understood.
Does the spell to become a lich kill you, or do you have to?
No, mercifully, that falls to another watcher. After my death, my soul will be drawn back into my body instead of moving on to whatever lies beyond. I cannot reveal more, even to a fellow necromancer.
I understand. So, what's holding you back from lichdom?
Even with all my preparations, there's a chance I could die, permanently, during the rites. What cowardice! The promise of immortality, an end to all my fears, and the final veil stays my hand.
That's reasonable. Lots of people are afraid of dying.
Is it? When it keeps me from what I most desire? Traditionally, candidates for lichdom face one final sifting of the soul. If they avoid it, you saw my old colleague.
Hezenkos? She's a lich.
A half-lich, though that hasn't diminished her powers. Until I stop her plans, I won't possess the peace of mind for lichdom. Why don't you select the next flowers, Rook?
Sure. So, what's a half-lich exactly?
Johanna attempted the rites of lichdom and failed. Stuck in her in-between state, she is supremely dangerous, but can't learn any new magic.
No wonder Hezenkos was shouting so much.
No, she's always been that way.
What about the sifting of a soul that Hezenkos avoided?
The spirits of the necropolis judge whether a candidate is worthy of the power and responsibility of lichdom.
How'd she become a lich without it?
I shared some knowledge when we were colleagues. She apparently put together more than I knew. It would be just like her to skip the rituals, the cleansings, the preparations of the soul.
For a watcher, Hezenkos is pretty harsh on spirits.
We made allowances because of her discoveries. Too many. Spirits are not things to be disposed of.
You really care about them.
They're so susceptible to the world's whims, Rook. Some spirits are dangerous, but how quickly most respond to a bit of kindness or care or simple attempt to understand. For all she's done, I can't condemn Johanna for attempting lichdom. That freedom from mortality, that divorce from fear, and of course, time to read all of one's books.
Every mage's dream.
But how she's abused her abilities. Are my intentions enough to fare better?
Worrying's a good sign.
We have enough flowers. There's something I'd like to show you. Here we are.
Oh, so these flowers are for...
Yes. If you could place them on the graves, please.
In memory of Rupert and Eleanor of Volcarin. They walk eternity hand in hand.
After I became a watcher, I erected a proper shrine to my parents. When I come to talk, I like to think they listen. Well, don't be shy. Introduce yourself.
Rook, also a Moon Watcher. How'd you do? Do you remember your parents?
Some memories are bright. Others are akin to those dim early morning dreams one gets sometimes. Lately, I wondered what they'd think of our current course. The choices ahead.
Your lichdom.
What would they have wanted me to be?
Happy with someone who cares for you.
Shroud's Kiss. I've always loved the legend around this flower. They say it grows on lovers' graves, and that one moves closer to the fade simply by inhaling its fragrance.
Is that true?
It is when I will it, my dear.
What else?
What a day of unexpected splendor. Rook, darling, I was thinking of spending an evening with just the two of us.
I'd like that.
Wonderful. I've made all the arrangements at the necropolis. We'll leave whenever you're ready. How did you find everything?
I never ate this well when I was training in the necropolis.
You may be interested to know I was permitted to raise a few cooks from the royal crypts tonight.
Wait, not from the tomb of Veneska IV?
I'd hoped the evening might impress. The amount of work on you worries me, Rook. Responsibility exacts a toll on the body.
Sorry to disappoint. I'm feeling great.
Oh, that bright cheer. I do ask that you at least avoid putting pressure on that stiff left wrist.
It's a little stiff. Impressed you spotted it.
Well, I am familiar with the finer points of anatomy. It's good we made time for this. A couple should get to know one another in comfort.
Time to dig into our feelings?
I'd be delighted if the mood moves you.
This is one of the more romantic dates I've been on.
How wonderful. I was afraid I'd lost my touch. Between work and research and teaching Manfred, there hasn't been time lately for company.
How lately?
No one's serious for a few years. Apart from that, I'd prefer we leave the past be.
All right. Stay a man of mystery. What's your favorite color?
Well, can I only choose one?
Let me guess. Black? Green? Yellow, but like, bone yellow.
Lilac.
Of course you went to a flower.
It's such a pretty shade of purple. It brings thoughts of spring. And what's your favorite shade of color?
Rich purple. The kind you get with those really expensive dyes.
It's the color of royalty in some kingdoms.
Maybe I've got ambitions. Devastating charm aside, what do you like about me?
Apart from the compliment of your interest?
Come on.
Darling, it's gratifying a fresh-faced adventurer noticed me at all. And your spirit does charm, but there's also something quite indomitable about you, Rook. It inspires.
Oh, thanks. Anyway, should we enjoy the garden?
Certainly. They're wondering what we're up to. Wisps are ever attracted to the gardens.
Like you?
The Fade is close here. As our spirits I count as guides and friends. Beyond that, I feel there are mysteries past our comprehension. Something beyond the weft of magic or deepest Fade. When I'm fortunate, I spy suggestions of them here.
You're so philosophical around flowers.
It's the purpose of the gardens, to lift our thoughts to something higher and finer than we are.
Like that?
Sometimes, my dear, I think you indulge me.
When I'm in the mood.
That rune you enchanted for me doesn't seem to do anything.
Well, that shouldn't... Oh, I never aligned the etheric flows. How did I... I must have been distracted.
You have been a little lately. I mean, what with you and Rook becoming...
You noticed?
I'm sure you two getting together is... Only Rook's kinda younger, so...
It's not... What are you getting at, Harding?
You two are sort of moving quickly.
May we change topics?
Emmerich? About earlier, when I brought up you and Rook being together?
Yes?
Look, you were in a crypt with all your dusty books, and then suddenly Rook bursts into your unlife, and...
I keep my books pristine.
I get it. Rook's Rook. Wild and eager, just whisking you away, and now it's all candles and showers of ghost petals. It's great. But you've also been, you know, kinda preoccupied? Mopey.
Mopey? I am not mopey, Harding.
Yeah, you are. You're so mopey, you misaligned the spirit ether, it's twice this week, and your skull thing is crooked.
My collar pin is perfectly straight. I do worry sometimes what people might think about Rook and myself, given our ages. Not to mention the spectre of acting like a besotted fool.
You're not that bad. My ma always says, it's fun to go at full gallop, but you still have to keep your eyes open. Tree branches and stuff.
I will. Thank you, Lace.
Emmerich, you and Rook visit the necropolis lately?
Yes, I thought Rook might like to see home again.
That have anything to do with the fancy dinner menu Manfred showed me?
He took... of course, those gilded edges.
The dinner was very romantic.
That's sweet. You two have fun.
So you're with Rook now?
We're exploring the matter, yes.
Good. I hope you two do good stuff.
Thanks, Tosh.
Just don't do corpse stuff in bed.
What?
No, sorry, you're right. It's not my stuff. Do corpse stuff in bed if you want to.
Thank you, Tosh, for the sentiment.
I heard another rumor, Emmerich.
What is your latest hearsay?
That you and Rook are getting tight. Making eyes, warming the cockles of your heart, tugging at the old bone.
That's quite enough.
Sure, but if you need any tips on hand-to-bone combat...
My dear young Devron, I know perfectly well what I'm doing.
Make that your next book.
The voices again.
But surely the knowledge you gained.
My champions offer themselves willingly. More works of precision laid low before finding their full potential.
You will have new subjects in recompense, whatever you wish.
Rook's Necromancer. An excellent subject to test how long one could go back and forth between life and death.
Inspired. Consider it done.
Don't listen to her, dearest. It won't come to that.
If they touch you, death will be the least of their problems.